Oh, Gilbert Arenas getting mad at Rob Parker and saying that your streams, you will never stream like me, and because y'all need to talk about me and all that. You know, I watch Gilbert Arenas' show. Sometimes they agree on the show, sometimes they don't. But to me, Gilbert Arenas, to me, is basically like the Kanye West of athletes. He'll say something that might make sense one day, and the next time he'll say something that'll be just totally bonkers. To be honest with you, in my personal opinion, he's more noteworthy post career than he was during his career. He had a good career. He wasn't great. He wasn't in any discussion amongst guys that you can remember. He had some big post and scoring nights, but I just didn't feel that he was that memorable to have these long conversations like he had this kind of career. He had moments. However, Rob Parker went to school for journalism. I don't always agree with Rob Parker, and sometimes I think he just be yanking chains and stuff. However, there is a difference between a journalist and a guy that plays sports and they try to be a podcaster. Now, I'm all with everybody having their status as a podcaster because I think that even so called people that went to school for journalism have to admire the tenacity and the aptitude to do this because it takes a skill set, how you reflect on the camera, where you're at your leisure, you're most comfortable. And I like, doing that. Well, Rob Parker, I disagree with some of his takes and certain things he says. He is professional enough and he's actually been around and balances out the worlds. Gilbert Arenas is like a blind man trying to play darts in the dark. And he might hit the bullseye. Chances are you're going to hit the window or going to hit somebody and miss his target. Because he doesn't have the intellectual capacity to have a full-fledged conversation without being vulgarian and without taking cheap shots and unnecessary shots, which have no place. Gilbert Arenas sounded very ignorant going after a question with Sudan that almost beat the American team. And his language and his ignorance was on loud and display. And that's why people raked him over the coals behind. And so he got mad because Rob Parker, who can actually articulate, I remember the great late Ralph Wiley on ESPN, and great book, and a guy who had a great encyclopedia thesaurus type of mindset and vocabulary, and John Sanders. And I can mention the ones that had that balance. Well, I got to mention a guy like Stuart Scott who had the balance of the street and the book knowledge. Gilbert Arenas possesses neither one of those qualities. He just pontificates and throws stuff out there and says some most wildest stuff and hopes that it sticks to justify his places and his being. He's kind of also like somewhere between Kanye West and D.L. Hughley, who, how Hughley front runs like he's down with the cause, and he go run to Vlad TV or snitch and say something that's off. That's what Gilbert does too. Oh yeah, these cats kind of flock in the same boat. They say one thing, but then like seagulls, they will try to venture here to go run to somebody to kind of validate where they're coming from. And what a lot of people don't understand, you don't always do stuff for some clicks and views. If you catch on, you catch on. But to be articulate and to really narrate a concept and to put in perspective and context, it requires the intellect to think it through. So if you're talking about a said subject, you got to have that nuances and the things. It's one thing with the experiences. I watch Gilbert with Kenyon Martin and those cats, and sometimes they talk in some philosophical parts about on the game, etc. But sometimes they just being vulgar and being and venting at something that is not constructively fleshed out enough. Like when they were going about generational talents and players and stuff, you have to understand the nuances and put those in perspective. Rob Parker can do that because not only did he study it, but he actually has a feel, you know. Now, journalism, the whole thing has changed because you got more entertainers, athletes on these forums, and depends on what you're looking for. I know Gilbert gets numbers and he's popular, but I'd rather watch Rasheed Wallace. She'd actually will get cut to the point, cut to the chase. him and Bonzi and them, I like their take a little bit more. It's more authentic. Plus, he's not going to sit there and say nothing to diss a journalist, because as long as someone doesn't say it cross the lines, he knows it. Rob Parker did not cross any lines with Gilbert Arenas. He called him out on his vulgarity and his ignorance and said that as a black man, how can you say this about said country? And then to use the terms and the tones and everything. And when Gilbert caught the backlash, that's when he tried to mellow it, but then he wanted to take a shot and try to say, well, you don't get as much numbers. And see, that's the thing I can't stand. You're on here like we all are on a platform because you're trying to get your program and your situation out there. The other problem that you run into is that, well, you're so noteworthy and what have you, you would already invite and have people flocking to you, right? If you were that important as you hype your, like to toot your own horn. So anyway, Rob Parker clearly got under his skin, and good. But I wish that Gilbert would take a moment to learn how to talk and articulate his points and balance it out. Because you can be street and book if you know how to mix the two worlds. But trying to just keep on going on about something and you just sound like you're screaming and hollering. Please like, subscribe, welcome thoughts, comments, and I do respond. Thank you. Wash your hands, keep your mind clear, watch out for another shitter if you like. And please hit that membership, because when you do, those videos you request, I'll get them back to you. Stay safe, stay blessed, stay up, stay cool. I'm back. Peace.